Hello and welcome back to another episode of Weekly Bee where I share with you my slow handmade wardrobe. If you remember, the Fiona Sundress that I have been working on was meant to be finished for Sew Blood Pressure 25, which is the sewing challenge that I ran over on Instagram during the month of June. We are now halfway through July and I have still not finished this dress. As I mentioned to you before, I did a toile to figure out what adjustments I needed to make, and even though I did that, I didn't apply those adjustments to when I was cutting out my real fabric. Anyway, I've kind of moved past that and I'm now just working on just constructing the whole dress. And I have run into another little bump in the road. So for the straps, I knew from my toile that I needed to remove, I think it was 3/4 of an inch, but because the fabric from the toile to the real version is now slightly different, where my real version, the fabric has a slight give to it, I've had to remove an extra 1/2 an inch from the strap. So I'd sewn them in initially, then realized I needed to remove the extra 1/2 an inch. And when I sewed them back down, instead of measuring how far they were from the back seam to have them aligned, no, I just sewed them in place. And then when I flipped them the right way out, I realized that one of the straps was more off to the side than the other one. So that of course is now bugging me. And it's also not lying properly on my back because one is lying differently to the other. If I follow the steps in the written instructions, it now tells me that I need to top stitch the whole top band down in place, but I don't want to do that because I'm still trying to figure out how I need to lay my straps correctly. So what I've done in the meantime is I've set that aside and I've started working on the skirt portion. So for the skirt portion, I now have the pockets top stitched into place, and I really love a bit of top stitching, so I like to take my time with that, and I think it's turned out really well. Next up is just attaching the front skirt pieces to the back skirt pieces, and I'm not sure if I mentioned to you already, but I did lower those darts a little. I lowered the dart by about 3/4 of an inch, and then I just redrew the lines from the top of the raw edge. I brought them down to meet that point and just sewed them together. I have laid it on the back of my body and it looks like it's going to fit just right, but of course I will only be able to properly tell once I've put the skirt pieces together and basted it to the top bodice. I'm actually really enjoying taking my time sewing this. There's something about slowly putting all the pieces together that is just a lot more fulfilling, if that's the word that I want to use. I just feel a lot better about my project for taking my time with it. There's still quite a bit to go on this dress, and I've mentioned already that I need to sew the skirt pieces together and attach it to the bodice, but then I also need to do the side slit, the hem, and then sew, I think it was 21 buttonholes, and then as well sew those buttons on. So I am hoping that, I don't want to promise anything, but I'm hoping really that I'm a lot more advanced next time, because it looks like every time I meet you, I am just one step ahead. Like there's not a lot of progress. But anyway, there's no rush, no one's pressuring me. It's just I would have liked to be a little bit more ahead than what I really am. Last week Friday was the virtual meetup to sew the Paphos Pouch together, and I am really happy that that went along, and I had a couple of testers join me for that. And my plan was to have something cut out, so have my Paphos Pouch cut out to sew it during the virtual. But of course life got in the way and I didn't have anything cut out, so the mission was to cut something out during the virtual. Of course, anytime it comes to sewing with people, I tend to not actually do anything. I'm always more interested in talking to people than actually me doing any of the work myself. So needless to say that I didn't get much done. I only managed to cut out 2 of the main exterior pieces and as well 2 of the foam bits. And this is one of the projects that I'm going to be making for the end of year teacher's gift for my eldest daughter. Now I have just over a week, so about a week and a half left to go for the end of school, and now I'm starting to panic because I want to have 3 of these pouches done. So this is one of the pouches I want to make, and if I haven't mentioned it, I'm going to be using the Paphos Pouch, so my latest design. And with the testers I had a bit of a chat on what I could use for the ruffle. So I don't exactly have a matching fabric for this. I don't have any plain black cotton in my stash, surprisingly, and I don't have any of the shades of green that are on this leopard print fabric. So I thought I could use a bit of black lace that I have in my stash that has been there for years. I got this black lace at one of Abercann's massive warehouse sales in Moston. I've got quite a big roll. There's probably about 100 or 200 meters of lace on here, and I thought it would be a really nice idea to use that as the ruffle in place of fabric. Now, my doubt was, would this look a little bit too wash baggy or not really appropriate to give someone else a bag that's got lace in it? I think that's just some nonsense made up in my head, because when I asked the testers their thoughts on it, they thought it was absolutely fine and they would be really happy if they would have received a bag like that. So the mission is to continue with the green leopard print, add some black ruffled lace to it, and I need to cut out another 2 bags, which I am unsure even what fabric colors or anything I'm going to go for, but I definitely need to get a move on for those. The Paphos Pouch test is coming to an end, but I've had a couple of testers contact me and say that they are running a little bit late. So if you're a tester watching this, I'm probably going to be extending the deadline by about a week so that you have enough time to finish your pouch and also give me some feedback. I don't want to pressure anyone. I don't want you to feel stressed about it. In the meantime, I've received a couple of gifts from my lovely neighbor John, who's been having a bit of a clear out, and I will be adding 2 new little ladies into my sewing room. This is what I was given over the weekend, and I am super happy because I think these will be the perfect decoration to add onto the shelves that I have on my wall just behind me. So immediately when I received these, my thoughts were to make a little bit of an outfit for this one. Yes, it is small scale. Yes, I don't really like making clothes for small things like Barbies and that, but this is a little bit bigger than a Barbie, and I think I will actually enjoy making something for this, probably a matching outfit or just a skirt and a little top from whatever I am working on. And actually, just a quick thought, I have a few of those stuffy patterns from Violet Field Threads. So they have, I think it's pigs, sheep, wolves, owls, and so on. And they come with a little wardrobe set for each of the stuffies. And because I have so many of them, I can mix and match the clothes. And I think they would be perfect to make a little outfit for this one. For the other one, I think this is a little bit of foam. So my immediate thought for this one was I could maybe deco patch it, add a bit of jewels or something to it, just spice it up a little bit to go better with my room. So this is obviously not going to happen today or next week, and probably not for the next few months, knowing me. So stay tuned to see what I turn these into, but I'm pretty excited that I've managed to have small mannequins now added to my sewing room. And speaking of sewing room, over the weekend was the first time that I ran the Build Your Confidence in Sewing workshop from my home studio. It was so exciting to have someone in my space and start them on their sewing journey. Well, not really start, because this particular person, Jill, she had already sewn before, but she was just having a few doubts on how to troubleshoot her sewing machine, how to learn how to sew straight lines, and a few of the other components of how to get your bobbin with the correct tension and so on. So it was just really lovely to be able to share all the knowledge that I have gained over the years with someone else and help them feel a lot more confident to get going by themselves. We also made a scrunchie at the end of the session, and it's just so lovely, I think, for when someone is able to showcase their skills in a project and take it home with them to be able to show their family and friends. It's just confidence boosting. So this Build Your Confidence in Sewing workshop is going to be a regular one that I have on my website that I'm going to run in my home studio, and I'm looking at adding more workshops onto the website now with specific projects in mind. So I want to work out what particular project you are interested in making so that I can tailor my workshops around that specifically. I will leave a link to my website in the description box below where you can have a look at all the workshop and events that I am running. And again, speaking of events, I'm going to be running a very special event at Janome headquarters on the 5th of November, which is to celebrate me sewing for 7 years alongside you, a community that's been very supportive. I felt very inspired by you, and I just want to be able to celebrate together with you. So there are going to be a few surprises which I don't want to mention just yet because I'm still working on finalizing all of that. So if you do want to be one of the first people to find out when the tickets go on sale for this event, please make sure that you leave your email on the wait list. And now in some knitting news, my Ellie Sweater is finally finished and she is now ready to wear. So I have finished embroidering all the lazy daisies on both sleeves as well as the front, but I have not done it on the back. I thought to myself, why waste my time, not waste my time, I feel it's a bit harsh to say, but why spend my time sewing all of these lovely flowers on the back when I'm not even going to see them, and they're going to be brushing up against a jacket if I'm going to wear a jacket with it. So I just thought I'm not going to make any more lazy daisies. I'm perfectly happy with what I have now. The only thing that I noticed now as I brought this up here to show you is that one sleeve has more lazy daisies than the other. So one has 10 and the other has 12, and it's definitely making my eye twitch a bit. So I'm gonna just add 2 more lazy daisies to the left sleeve before I actually wear it out. But currently there's a total of 46 stitch daisies on here, and it didn't actually take me that long to finish, and it definitely helped having the panels all open up and not sewn at the side seams. So if this is something that you are wanting to add to one of your projects, definitely think about leaving the panels open, because it's much easier for you to maneuver your hand with the needle and stitch the embroidered daisies on. Stitch the embroidered daisies on? We'll just go with that. So my side seams on both sides are completely sewn together, and I have finished all the edges with a rolled cuff. I think it just makes it look so much neater and just gives it that extra little detail to it. And it also, I love these ones because it's quite tight around my, I nearly said waist, it's quite tight around my wrist. I really love the finishing touches of this one, and I think it's going to be a brilliant addition to my wardrobe, because I can see myself wearing this with my fuchsia pink trousers, which by the way are now too big for me because I've lost a bit of weight. So I'm just trying to gain the courage to unpick the whole waistband, bring them in at the sides and stitch the waistband back on. But that's going to be for another day, so I just need to gain some courage for that one. With the current weather that we are experiencing here in the UK, it's a little bit too hot for me to wear the sweater, so I'm going to have to hold off for a few days until I can actually wear it out. But I am excited for this one as well. I just think it's so fun. Now that the Ellie sweater is done and dusted, I can now shift all of my attention onto the Take It or Leave It sweater by Cara's Knit, which I had already cast on. So I have now finished the whole ribbing on the front bodice, and I wanted to start yesterday on the chart work. The only issue that I ran into there is for the chart work, if you're unfamiliar with that, there's odd and even rows. So in this pattern, she says read your odd rows from right to left, and then read the even rows from the left to the right. And the descriptions for all of the stitches would normally say, for the odd rows you purl your stitches, for even rows you knit those same stitches. So that's just an example. I have done one of our patterns before where I did have those instructions in that manner written down, but for this one it doesn't tell me on the odd rows purl, on the even rows knit. So I had a bit of a brain freeze there, and I can work it out. I will be able to, having looked at the pictures and at the chart, I can work out what they mean, but I just don't want to waste extra time on that. So I think I'm going to message Cara to find out, is there something missing, or is it just me that has not understood it? But I think there is a little bit missing. But I want to confirm with her before I continue. One thing that I have done on the piece that I've sewn already is I have added a lifeline. So I learned the hard way. On the other pattern that I tested for her, it was the Is It True sweater that I made in an almond colored yarn. I had knit quite a few rows into the chart and I made a mistake. So one of my stitches, I did them wrong, and I didn't know how to go back because there was a lot of, what is it called now? The cables. There were a lot of cables, and I didn't know how to go back on the cable, especially because where they lie over each other, they are very tight, the stitches in the middle there. So I had to undo something like 20 rows of stitching. I have learned the hard way. I don't want to do that. So I've put a lifeline now here at the end of my ribbing, and I'm going to put a lifeline roughly every 10 rows of stitching, because if I do make a mistake, I don't have to undo so many. I will just have to undo 10 rows at a time. So I'm hoping that this week I get a lot more done on this one, but it's just dependent on what Cara gets back to me with. In reality, I could start, but I just want to wait for her just to give me a a better heads up with her own pattern. For the rest of the week, I feel like I have a lot on my plate to work on in terms of projects, so I definitely want to get moving on my sweater in this white yarn, and I want to make a lot more progress on my Fiona Sundress than what I have been. The other thing that I definitely need to get a move on, because I kind of have a deadline, I can't exactly go knock on the teachers' houses or post their gift to them, so I'm feeling a little bit of the pressure to be able to get 3 Paphos pouches done in time for the end of the school year. Let me know what you are currently working on, whether it's a knitting, sewing project, or any other project for that matter. Just what are your hobbies? Let me know in the comments below. That's it from me today. Bye for now.